So it's 2023, the end of the world? Maybe. So welcome to It's Biblical, and this is our first end times video vlog. And the reason I call it that is because if this number is true and correct, which is a pretty big if, the Lord said you'll know the day, know the hour, but did he say the year? It's all up in the air right now, but we're going to kind of follow this, and I'll tell you how I got here in a minute. But first I want to tell you exactly what I'm trying to do here. I'm trying to kind of give weekly updates about things that are going on in the news around the world and just things that are happening around even America. And then I'll kind of go into Bible prophecy as well, other subjects, the mark of the beast, things like that as we progress and we get closer to this date. Now this date will be, it's going to be easy to tell if this is fake in about 3.5 years, meaning that this 2017, if this is correct, would be the beginning of the 7 years talked about in the 70 weeks prophecy in Daniel 9. But we'll get back to that in a minute. I guess I want to tell you where we are right now. Today is February 4th, 2017. Donald Trump is the president right now, and things are very divided in our country. You see it in your friends, you see it depending on how you voted. You know, people are starting to look at evil as good and good evil. For instance, if you're against abortion or gay marriage or homosexuality, you'll be basically looked at as evil, even by your friends and family, people you've been friends with for years, things like that. There's division all over the world. You have all kinds of stuff going on in the Middle East. You have the rise of ISIS in the last couple of years. You have the persecution of Christians, which is key. Now, this has always been going on, but sometimes you would tell people that it's happening, and then you wouldn't have direct evidence to be able to prove it to them. But now you can show them a video. Say ISIS made a video of those 21 Coptic Christians on that beach, and they killed them because they're Christian. And then you have the video of the Ethiopian Christians as well being killed by ISIS shortly thereafter. So you have all these things going on in the world. You got ISIS, you got the migrant flow into Europe, you got Turkey with the coup that happened last year in 2016, where they have President Erdogan, who's basically an Islamist trying to revitalize the Ottoman Empire in that country. And there was a soft coup, you know, the military tried to take it back. Then Erdogan went on Facebook and basically rallied the people, and they took back the country. And then now he's kind of putting things in place with the constitution and making it to where he would be the supreme ruler of that country. I believe he's setting himself up to be the next ruler of the Islamic Caliphate, the true one, not the ISIS one. But all that being said, we'll discuss all those things from here on, but this is going to be our template. And I'll tell you how I got here. And I'm not the only one who got here. I thought I was, but then I looked it up and there's other people who got it too. And sometimes they got it in a slightly different way, but using the same formula. This is going to be our guidebook through our journey to this date. So Matthew, when Jesus, the disciples are admiring the temple, Jesus tells them, "Do you not see all these things? Assuredly I say to you that not one stone shall stand upon another that shall not be thrown down." This is Matthew 24. So then he's on the Mount of Olives, and the disciples came to him privately, saying, "Tell us, when will these things be, and what will be the sign of your coming and of the end of the age?" So the sign of his coming and of the end of the age. So the second coming. And also the end of the age. And what are the signs? So he says, "Take heed that no one deceives you, for many will come in my name, saying, I am the Christ, deceiving many. You'll hear wars, rumors of wars. Nation will rise against nation, kingdom against kingdoms, earthquakes in various places." You're going to have the beginning, this is the beginning of sorrows, it says. Then they're going to deliver you up to tribulation, kill you, and you'll be hated by all nations for my sake, and many will be offended, will betray one another, and hate one another. Many false prophets will rise up and deceive many, and because lawlessness will abound, the love of many will grow cold. But he who endures to the end shall be saved, and the gospel of the kingdom will be preached in all the world as a witness to the nations, and then the end will come. So you have that whole thing, and I believe that this whole thing is not necessarily just this next couple of years here. This has been going on since he's left. But then after this is where we start getting to this number back here. Right after he says all that, he says, "Therefore, when you see the abomination of desolation spoken of by Daniel the prophet standing in the holy place," and then it says, like little hyphens, "whoever reads this, let him understand. Then let those who are in Judea flee to the mountains. Let him who is out on the house step not go down to take anything out of his house. Know that him who is in the field not go back to get his clothes, but woe to those who are pregnant in those days, and pray that your flight may not be in winter on the Sabbath, for there will be great tribulation, as such has not been seen since the beginning of the world until that time, nor ever should there be. Okay, so we'll go, don't have to do all that, but basically Jesus talks about, therefore, when you see the abomination of desolation as spoken of in Daniel, the prophet standing in the holy place, other things will follow. There is going to be desolation. Okay, this Olivet Discourse is what this is called. This whole thing where the disciples ask about the end times. You also find it in Mark and Luke. It says, so when you see the abomination of desolation spoken of by Daniel the prophet standing where it ought not, so this abomination is desolation is standing where it shouldn't be, and which is the holy place, which is, I believe, the Temple Mount. And then it says again, let the reader understand, and then it says the same thing, there will be great tribulation. And then also it's recorded slightly different in Luke, where it's the same response to the question from the disciples about the end. It says, but when you see Jerusalem surrounded by armies, then you know its desolation is near. So this abomination is something that causes desolation. Desolation, meaning desolation is a state of complete emptiness or destruction. Desolation. So the land is desolate, okay, for a time. And I believe it is desolate of Jews, Israelites. So we have that. So Jesus is pointing back to Daniel, the abomination of desolation. Well, what's that? You go back to Daniel, and it talks about this king of the north, who many believe is the Antichrist or the false prophet, the final iteration of this. So forces will be mustered by him. The king of the north here, they call him the king of the north, and shall defile the sanctuary forces, and they shall take away the daily sacrifice and place there the abomination of desolation. Okay, that's the abomination of desolation. Something put in the temple, or the Temple Mount area. So we have that. It goes to Daniel, all right? And then there's some dates given here, some numbers, and I'll have you remember that before we come back. It says here later, and Daniel asks, he says, although I heard, I did not understand. Then I said, my Lord, what shall be the end of these things? And the angel says to him, go your way, Daniel, for the words are closed up and sealed up till the time of the end of times, to return to Christ. Go your way, Daniel, for the words are closed up and sealed until the end of times. Many shall be purified and made white, refined, but the wicked shall do wickedly, and none of the wicked shall understand, and the wise shall understand. And from that time that the daily sacrifice is taken away, and the abomination of desolation is set up. So when the abomination of desolation is set up, there shall be 1,290 days. Okay. So the abomination of desolation, we'll call it AOD, is set up. Okay, it's set up. Then there will be 1,290 days. But after that it says, blessed is he who waits and comes to the 1,335 days. So there's a few more years after this date right here. So 1,335, 1,335 days. So the abomination of desolation is set up. Then there's going to be 1,290 days. Blessed is he who makes it to 1,335 days. Okay. So we have those two numbers, biblical numbers. Okay. They're there for a reason. Well, maybe this is why. Maybe not. Then you're going to go to, that was on Daniel 12, you're going to go to Revelation, where you find some other numbers too, and it kind of references that as well. Here you have in Revelation 11, you have John getting the vision of Revelation of all these end times things, and he says, I was given to read like a measuring rod. An angel stood saying, rise and measure the temple of God, the altar, and those who worship there, and leave out the court, which is outside the temple, and do not measure it, for it has been given to the Gentiles, and they will tread the holy city underfoot for 42 months. 42 months. That equals, let's just turn that into days just for the sake of this. That would equal 1,260 days. 1,260 days. Okay. That's basically the 42 months. You also find another number in Revelation 12 when it talks about the woman and the dragon. The woman being Mary initially, but also seeming to mean Israel. But we'll get into that in a later video. But his tail drew. Okay, let's talk about The dragon, his tail, drew a third of the stars of heaven and threw them to the earth. And the dragon stood before the woman who was ready to give birth and devour the child as soon as it was born, or devour Christ as soon as it was born. She bore a male child who was to rule the nations with the iron rod. That's Christ. And her child was caught up to God and to his throne. Then the woman fled into the wilderness, where she had a place prepared by God that they should feed her there 1,260 days. 1,260 days corresponds to the 42 months. This is how long the woman is in the wilderness. Here it's kind of after Christ, so I believe that this could be referring to Israel. Okay, again, so you have another 1,260 days period for how long Israel is in the wilderness. Desolation. If Israel is desolate, or at least Jerusalem is desolate of Jews for a time, and then they go into the wilderness, which could be a representation of the world for this many years, then that could be a representation that the Jews, or Israel, is in the world, scattered in the world for this many years, scattered amongst the nations. So let's use these numbers right here. That's all we need. It all depends on when, in this case, when the Gentiles are given the holy city and tread it underfoot. When does that begin? I believe it begins here at the abomination of desolation. So, but when was the abomination of desolation? Did it already exist? Did it already happen? I think it might have. Right now, you look in Israel, you look at the Temple Mount, what do you see? There's something there, right? It's the Dome of the Rock, the Islamic Dome of the Rock. On it is a blasphemous creed. It says there's no God but Allah and Muhammad is his messenger. Okay. Not only that, it says that God can have no son. And if you look at John, I believe First Epistle of John, it says, whoever denies the Son does not have the Father either. He who acknowledges the Son has the Father also. Who is a liar but he who denies that Jesus is Christ? He is the Antichrist who denies the Father and the Son. Blasphemy, right? The Dome of the Rock is a blasphemous thing to Christianity and to God. So we have that. If the Dome of the Rock is the abomination of desolation, then when was that constructed? According to Wikipedia or other sources, it began here on 688 AD. Okay, 688 AD is when the Dome of the Rock was either began construction and it was finished a few years later. So if you have this number, this Dome of the Rock, this thing that was set up literally on the Temple Mount, where it says that the abomination of desolation is possibly going to be set up, at least the first version of it, you have to ask yourself, is this make any sense? And if it does, why? I guess that's what my big question is. Why does it make any sense? Because it does. Okay, we're going to go back through this. If the woman right here was in the wilderness for 1,260 days, is it really days? So if we turn all this into years, prophetic days meaning years, so these are not days but rather years. And you can do this because there's a 70 weeks prophecy that people do that all the time. They turn the weeks into days, okay, but those days represent years. Yeah, you get 7 weeks and then 62 weeks, and then you get Christ beginning his ministry, essentially. And so if they do it there, I always wonder why they never apply it to this. If they use days for the 70-week prophecy, why not use it to this? So, if these are years, okay, the abomination of desolation is set up. If this is it, if this Dome of the Rock was the abomination of desolation that causes desolation, it was set up in 688 AD, okay, right there on the Temple Mount. So, if the woman is Israel and she's in the wilderness for 1,260 days, okay, because of desolation, then if you add these together, what number do you get? If you add this number to this number. So this is when it happens, and then this many days in the future, okay, you're going to have the return of Israel, I assume, because they're not going to be in the wilderness, right? So if you add 688 plus 1,260, you shouldn't be able to get this if it doesn't mean anything. But 8, okay, 8 plus 6 is 14. Okay, so that's 9. 1948. I don't know. That's when Israel came back as a nation, right? Now, if it's, I mean, it could just be happenstance, but that is pretty amazing. Okay, that number works out pretty good to that. And then this is how long the holy city is trampled under feet. It's the same exact amount of days. So you just add the same thing and you get 1948. So that's how long the city's trampled under feet. And so if we take this back to this, then what is this? You add the same number to Dome Rock, the abomination desolation setup, then it'll be this many days, right? Okay, so 688 plus 1290. You get 8, 17, 9, 1978, which doesn't seem significant for Israel, but that was when the peace treaty was signed with Egypt at that time, the Anwar stuff. That might be significant. And then it also says, if blessed is he who makes it to this many days, so the end's not quite yet. Blessed is he who makes it to this many days. That's when the end is going to be. So the Dome of Rock set it up at 688, which could be the abomination, desolation, the dawn dates, and the desolation. And there's going to be 1,335 years, if this is right, plus. So you get right there, you get 13, 8 plus 3 plus 1, 12, and then you get, what is this, 10. Okay, and then you get 2023. Alright? 2023. Possibly when Jesus comes back. But we will not know the day or the hour. We will not know the day or the, if day is years, then maybe we won't know the year either. But it is kind of interesting. And not only this, there's other numbers that all correspond with using the same method. In Daniel, there's another prophecy which has a different thing. It talks about the nation of Greece. It's Daniel 8 when the ram and the goat attack each other. We know that the ram and the goat is the ram which you saw was having 2 horns there, the kings of Media and Persia, and then the male goat is the king of Greece. Okay, a large horn, all these things. But it says here, it's kind of interesting. Okay, it talks about this little horn growing up, and it says, he even exalted himself as high as the prince of the host, and by him the daily sacrifices are taken away, and the place of his sanctuary is cast down. But the transgression of an army was given over to the horn to oppose the daily sacrifice, and to cast truth down to the ground. And he did all this and prospered. Then I heard a holy one speaking, and another holy one who said, to a certain one who said, speaking, how long will the vision be concerning the daily sacrifice and the transgression of desolation, the giving of both the sanctuary and the host to be trampled underfoot? So how long is all this going to happen from the ram, from Greece and Persia, fighting, from Greece taking out Persia till, from Greece taking out Persia to all the way to this abomination of desolation, and how long is this sanctuary and the host going to trample this place under feet? The Temple Mount, it seems. It's kind of interesting because it says, the answer is, he said to me, for 2,300 days the sanctuary shall be cleansed. Okay, for that long the sanctuary shall be cleansed. Okay, so you get 2,000. That's another 2,300 days. Now again, we apply the years, 2,300. Okay, so that doesn't seem that significant, I guess. But if it's about Greece coming into Israel, there's about that, it's kind of interesting because I have it here somewhere. Okay, so Jerusalem surrendered to Alexander the Great in 332 BC. Okay, it says the sanctuary will be cleansed and trampled underfoot for 2,300 days. Israel takes Jerusalem back in 1967, the city, finally, okay? Interesting. Okay, Alexander invaded Israel in 333 BC, took Jerusalem 332, alright? You take 1967 and you take 2,300 and you minus this, so you're going to go back, old school way. 3 AD. and that happens to be the year. Alexander invaded Israel. It's 333 AD, having this prophecy talk about Greece specifically. So that's pretty interesting too. So all these numbers correspond to something, and this is how I get to the conclusion that 2023 may be the end. So that would mean that 2017 is the beginning of the 7-year period. Okay, this is the beginning. So in the midpoint, that will be from 2017 to about 2000. Sorry for all the writing here. 2020 and a half. Okay, about 2020 and a half, there should be a really obvious push towards persecution, and there might be an invasion of Israel at that time. But if not, then I'm wrong. And then we'll know this is all for now. But for now, we'll keep going with it, and we'll keep discussing the other things as well. But just remember that if the days are years, and the Dome of the Rock is the abomination of desolation, then it's possible that this is the year Jesus Christ is coming back. Let me know what you think. I mean, I know it could be fake, and it could be false, but it is interesting. Do the numbers, do the calculations yourself, see what you come up with. And until then, I'll try to keep you updated on the end times with these end times vlogs every week or so. What's going on in the world, and we'll discuss other things in Scripture along the way, and we'll just continue on until this year, 2020 and a half. And if nothing is obviously happening, then well, I was wrong, and that's okay, because I'm not saying I was right, but it'd be cool if it was, wouldn't it be? So thank you for watching, and just keep an eye out and keep watching things, because there's a lot going on out there. There's a lot going on in Turkey, there's a lot going on in the Middle East, there's a lot going on even in our country. Something is brewing, and I believe everything is basically set up for it to happen within this time frame, and I'll show you that over the course of the next few videos. And then we'll continue on, and we'll continue on till the end of the day, until Christ returns. Until then, well, hopefully you'll watch some more videos and subscribe. But thank you for watching this one. Peace.